and you see, ah! Welcome to the Lousekast. Tonight, who do we have, guys?
Jason from the Prozacs.
Jay from the Prozacs. So, a little story. The Chanks and I were at the Warped Tour when we first met Prozacs. And long story short, we knew some people in common. Who was that, Chanksta?
One of them is Paul, and one of them is Jay.
And Joe Queer. So we met them at the Warped Tour a while back, and we were supposed to play with them until the tour got canceled. But we will play with them eventually. And tonight, one thing I love about this band is that they've been around. Well, Jay, who started the band, has kept the Prozacs going since 2001. So it's an honor to see somebody who's not only been able to keep a pop punk band alive for so long, but also is really passionate about embodying the punk rock values of community and helping out. He was just in our video recently, so we are really excited to have him on the show tonight.
And another story about that is in that Warped Tour, the Prozacs were better than 90% of those other bands. And I'm not even talking about the main acts too.
They are high energy pop punk, real pop punk. Awesome. So,
all right, so
get ready.
Let's give it up for Jason from the Prozacs. Woo!
Jay from the Prozacs.
All right, we got it.
There we go.
Hey,
what's up?
Hey, what's up, dude?
What's going on?
Jay?
Not much. I didn't know where to do this, so I'm going to do it outside.
Awesome.
So we got dogs and motorcycles and candy corn rocks.
Awesome. So yeah, pretty much the way this goes is we just each of us pretty much have a round of questions. We just bullshit a lot, we talk a lot of shit, and then we ask like 2 or 3 questions each one of us, and then we just bullshit.
That's a fair summary of what we do.
Pretty much. So
Nice to meet you guys virtually.
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure, man.
And again, thank you for
out like we were supposed to.
Yeah.
I know.
I've been listening to like a shit ton of your music on Spotify for like the last week.
Oh,
And
sweet. Thanks.
It put me in such a great mood. I love the Prozacs. I had heard you guys like a million years ago, but I wanted to like refresh for the interview, so I went back and listened to it, and it's just it's so fun.
Oh, thanks.
It's awesome. It's just like great energy, so.
Well, we all have something in common then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll make a good bill. I know that.
For sure.
Yeah.
I was bummed out that we couldn't do that show together at like Ralph's Diner. I was looking forward to that.
I know.
I was really looking forward to that.
Sucks.
But actually, I got some really good like I heard a lot of good things. Especially Joe Queer was one of them that told me like, okay, you got to hit up Jay from the Prozacs. Like he told me a lot of, and also Paul, because Paul actually he said when he was in the Prozac, he was telling me that I should hit you up too for gigs and all that. So
Paul's awesome. I love Paul to death.
He is. We finally met him in person. We did a show in Massachusetts last year, and like I had just seen him. We had been talking online for so long. He did our pins. He helped us like with our tour last year. He's an awesome guy, just an awesome guy. And then so it was just weird because I'm like, oh, you're a real person. Like we've been talking online for so long that I didn't actually think you were real. I thought you were like a robot. So like I actually gave him a hug and I was like, okay, he's real. He really exists.
Yeah, he's a real good kid. He shares those values with like the punk rock that matters,
it's funny, we always on every show wind up talking about that, the punk rock values and like helping people and community and like how it's it's like, it seems like it's more like the old school punk rockers are more like still sticking to those things, and the new school ones just want to like make up 40-minute solos on their guitars.
You know, Joe Queer is definitely, he's like,
yes,
he's got to be one of the biggest influences for me as far as, you know, the way I carry myself with the punk rock, you know, the music, and even, you know, a lot of that life in general stuff.
Yeah, he is actually like
one of our favorite people.
Definitely.
Awesome.
You know, good values and giving back, and we love him.
And he gives a shit about his fans, and that matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he does.
So
Shanks, do you want to start?
Yeah, well, actually, I'll start this off. I'll start the shindigs off. So, you guys have been around a while. Like I was looking at the timeline. You've been around. You've been doing this for a long time. But first question is, the scene from back then compared to like now, like what's like the major differences between the punk scene then and now? Like the big change. Like you've seen like really big changes, or there's not really any change at all, or is it?
Oh, there's a lot of change. I think a lot of the internet, obviously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So exposure.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of, you know, so many bands that would have never been known are connecting and knowing each other, and you're able to find, you know, in the 90s, and that's when I got into punk rock, was in the 90s, you know, and like searching out the bands you love and looking for records, and it was a challenge. I don't know if this is gonna work out here.
It sounds like you're in a wind tunnel.
I got an airplane just went overhead.
Oh,
We're gonna have fun with this. Yeah. Anyways, you know, the internet's changed a whole lot. Like, you know, like the Ramones core, where we kind of get lumped into, or whatever. You know, it's there's a million bands out there, and these bands are able to find the older bands, you know, by the click of a button, and you know, it's cool, but it also takes some of the adventure out of it.
Yeah.
As obviously, like playing shows, booking shows is totally different, because you were doing it person to person, picking up, you know, Maximum Rock and Roll and Book Your Own Fucking Life, and you were writing to bands and record labels and promoters and calling, and you know, now you're, you know, I think press kits and things like that, at least in the punk rock, are kind of a thing of the past.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, like, especially with social media. Like, social media, I know, me personally, with booking, it's been a big thing. I book everything pretty much through social media. I'd say, like, 90% of everything through either, like Facebook or email for now. But you're from that part, like, where you just, it was like word of mouth with you. It seems like word of mouth, like, okay, someone had a show. Oh, yeah, you want to book this show? Yeah, let me join here and there. Like, that's what it seems like from what you were saying back in the day.
Yeah, and I was on the tail end of it. So when the Prozac, when I started the Prozacs, we didn't start really playing and touring until about 2003, and by then I think MySpace was just coming around, so that was like a whole new thing. You could easily put your music online and start connecting with people. But you know, before it was, I think you made a lot of really good connect with people, because you were on the phone a lot, you knew what they sounded like. You were able to bullshit rather than, oh, hey, cool, thanks for the show, emoji, you know?
Yeah.
But you know, at the same time, it's pretty rad that you can, you know, post on a couple of websites, hey, my band's coming to wherever, and someone out there say, hey, I know a place, and, you know, it's kind of instantaneous. So, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I definitely get in those grumpy moods where I'm like, fuck all this way everything is, you know, but really it's a lot of good. And, you know, I forget sometimes when we're playing with bands where everyone's like 20 years old, and this is what they're growing up with, you know. I started out the way I did. They're starting out the way it is now. So, and it's, you gotta adapt, I guess.
Yeah, well, you also put a lot of time. Like you put the work in. You put the footwork. You know what I mean? So I can understand why some of that, like, now having some of these guys coming in, they don't realize how much work it took back then than it is now, where you're just clicking buttons and stuff. So now you're just going through all that, and like these kids are like, boop, hey, I got a gig. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa! It took me years to get there. Get out of here! Like, so,
I had back in those early 2000s when I had some younger guys in the band. I had this one kid who was playing bass, and he was learning about all the awesome bands, all the pop punk bands that I had, like, my record collections. And this kid stole his parents' credit card numbers and went nut on eBay, and like next thing you know, like within like a month, he had all the shit I searched out for years. And it's like, fuck you.
exactly. You're like,
but again, the times change, and these kids are, the younger generations are experiencing things that's going to become old school to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you got to look at it that way. Like, it's really is like comes around.
And it happens a lot faster now too. Like everything happens so much faster. So those things that took time to develop for us, it just, for like a lot of people now, it's just instantaneous, and then like it gets old real fast, and you're like,
yeah,
I still like that.
Yeah, technology changes so fast, and everything's changing with it.
Yeah. Is this what you always wanted to do as a musician? Like if you like had another like choice, if music wasn't your option, what else would you have done?
Besides music, or different style?
No, different. If music wasn't an option, what would you have been?
I rode BMX bikes, and that's what led me to music, to punk rock. Cool. Anyways. And I probably would have continued doing that, more heavily. But I was probably about 12 years old. I started racing bikes, and by probably, by the time I got out of high school, I got into the freestyle and ramps and dirt and street, and all that was starting to blow up in the world. And I did that for a long time. So I would have pursued that. I went to school for mechanical engineering, and I worked in the engineering field for about 4 years. So who knows? I would have pursued a career.
You could have been an announcer on the on the Ocho. You could have been
So who knows? But I found music, and I was a little bit of a latecomer. So I was like 22 when I started playing music, which whatever, that was over 20 years ago now. But I found what I loved, and it's still with me, and it's awesome, and I love it, and it's frustrating, and it's annoying, and it's every emotion wrapped up. You guys do it. You know how it is.
Oh yeah. Everything.
We don't hate it.
You guys see the plane go by?
Yeah.
There was a plane just went by right up there.
Yeah, that kind of goes into my question. So you started you formed the Prozacs in 2001.
Yes.
So, right, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then, like, so what was the inspiration behind starting the band? And you had so many people come in and out. Like, what kept you going all these years? Like, how did you not get frustrated and say, fuck this, I don't do this anymore? Like, what started it, and what gave it the longevity that it's had?
Oh, I accepted that I'm an asshole, and so I let everybody else be awesome. When I started getting to starting the band thing, I had a band prior to that I was. We were called the Grand Pricks, and so I started the Prozacs kind of as a side project. So when I started it, my idea was just I wanted to write some real power pop, Ramones-inspired punk rock, just for fun. And then within a few months, I decided to take that serious. So, and it took me a couple of years to kind of get over my old band, the first band, and put everything into the Prozacs. But that was and my passion was writing songs. That's what it's all about for me. I'm not, you got everything that's wrapped up into. Some people love the party. Some people just want to play. For me, it's writing the songs. It's getting the words out.
Have you been doing a lot of that during the quarantine? Like,
not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of new writing, but I have a lot of songs on deck. So I have some stuff that's in the studio. I haven't, I've been chipping away and reaching out to people that, helping out through digital. And but yeah, I haven't had time to really sit and write. My family bought a house not too long ago, so I've been doing construction work on the house, and I spend more time on that than anything.
There's got to be a song that can come out of that construction. There's got to be. I wrote a verse and had a cameo on a song with a band from Australia called the Thorazines. So that was kind of cool. I've done a couple projects. I did some backing vocals on an album for a band called Typhoid Rosie. They're out of New York.
Rosie, we know them.
Yeah, I did vocals on about 10 songs for them.
What?
Whoa.
It
was really cool. The songs were really fun. It was cool, and I was honored they asked me to be a part of it.
Very cool.
Here comes a plane. I don't know if we're going to see it.
Nope.
You can hear it though, right?
Airport?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing?
Oh, we have an airport nearby. I'm not like directly over us. It's military stuff, military airport. So
Okay.
I'll let you know if they drop any bombs.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see it in the background somewhere.
Probably.
But yeah, to answer your question, I haven't really written much since the quarantine. So, but I have a whole album, a whole Prozacs album ready to write with the band.
Oh, wow.
So whenever my drummer Jimmy and I have gotten together, and we got some stuff hashed out and demoed. So, whenever shit gets back together, hopefully we'll bang out a new album.
Awesome.
Cool. So, moving on, since I know now we're talking the subject of like the band. I know you guys have toured a lot and you've done a lot of shows, like a lot. I know this might be actually hard to choose because I know you guys done a lot. But is there any particular like tour stories that you have that like really stick out to you? Any like with bands that you played with? Or just any stories in general on the road that really like, just stick out to you? Like the first thing, bam! Like I remember when I did this and I did this. Any particular like show, story, tour that really stuck out?
Stupid.
Oh geez. So we had one little tour. We did a few days out in Arizona, Las Vegas. We flew out there. So the band I had at the time, I had my ex-drummer filling in for that particular show, and we had a guy from Georgia playing bass that we never met. So it was a three-piece band, and it wasn't the current lineup. Maddie, who was our drummer I've had two drummers over the years that have been pretty constant, Maddie and Jimmy. So Maddie came back, and we flew out to Vegas. We met our bassist out in Vegas. His name was Bill. We had a practice out there, and we played like 6 shows. So that was pretty cool. He knew all the stuff. It was pretty rad. So anyways, the last show was in, where the hell were we? We're New Mexico. Yeah, New Mexico. We were heading towards Las Cruces. So the night before, we're staying at this dude's house. I'm sleeping on a bunk bed. I mean, the rest of the night was crazy. I could talk about that whole night. We all got tattooed that night after the show. Yeah, we were all ripped and drunk. And
That's my kind of party.
And there was some, my drummer had some crazy adventures. And anyways, after the show, we sleep at this dude's house. I'm sleeping on a bunk bed, and there's a ceiling fan. Someone turned the ceiling fan during the night, right? I wake up in the morning, I get up, and I get smacked in the head with a ceiling fan.
Oh.
So I'm just like, fuck. I jump off the bed, there's blood everywhere.
Oh, shit.
I run into the bathroom. Yeah, they bring me to the hospital. And so I'm in the hospital. It's like 8 in the morning because we have like a 6-hour drive to the last shows. We have a double header that night. So we're with a band called Murder Majesty. They're like a ska punk band. And so I'm in the hospital, and one of the dudes from Murder Majesty shows up in the hospital, comes in, where's Jay from the Prozacs? Blah, blah, to the people at the hospital. Like, they know, you know? I'm having issues because I'm like, you know, I'm from across the country. They're giving me shit about my insurance. They don't believe my story. You know? And then this kid comes railing in and screaming. He's like, we're on tour. We got shows tonight. And get him the fuck out of here. And
wow.
Oh, shit.
It was pretty crazy. But
were you on stage like picking out pieces of fan like while you were playing?
I got patched up, and we were playing the first show down at in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and it was a killer show, by the way. And yeah, we're up on stage, and then I said something about how I got hit by a crazy fan, and I left it at that.
Oh wow!
I got fans everywhere I go.
That was a memorable one. And yeah, we had some adventures. I mean, for sure.
Oh my god, touring's just so much fun.
Oh,
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
yeah.
Do you have a van, Jay?
A van? No. We'd occasionally rent. We'd go out in cars. I had minivans for a few years. So we had the minivans. Did most of my touring in cars, basically.
Do they usually have air conditioning?
Sometimes. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, our second tour, we went in a van across to California with no AC in a van. We're all like cooped up, and we're like, we want to kill it in the middle of July.
That's awesome. I did a BMX road trip in the 90s, and we were in it was like a Monte Carlo or something, and no AC, and we were driving to a contest in Pittsburgh. So it's like a 9-hour drive, and we broke down in Philadelphia, somewhere out that way, Allentown or whatever. The car broke down. It was like 100 degrees out. We broke down on a highway. We rode our bikes to some gas station. We got some parts and tried to fix it. It was, radiator hose or whatever. But we wound up pulling off to a gas station. We got the car going, and we slept overnight. 4 of us in the car. It was like 100-something degrees. We wound up staying in whatever town we were in. They fixed at a gas station. We fixed the car. We found trails locally, so that was cool. We went and rode trails for the day, but needless to say, it took us over 24 hours to get to Pittsburgh.
Damn.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So, hey, were you up next or am I up next?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay. So my second question is, P.S. favorite album was Cleaning Out the Closet.
Okay.
I love that album. I love it. It's pretty poppy.
Yeah,
and I like that sound. And I don't think there was a song on there that I didn't like. But I wanted to ask you, do you have a favorite album that you made? And how do you think your music has evolved over time? How do you think it's changed?
My favorite album is probably Questions and Answers and Things Never Found. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, it's kind of the black sheep of the catalog. Mm-hmm. It's funny because the Cleaning Out the Closet is a collection of like B-sides and singles and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think I consciously put a lot of the pop punk, the more standard pop punk stuff to the side and spread it out on EPs and splits and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And when I do an album, I always try to, wherever I am most currently, like that I feel personally is like my most progressive. You know what I mean? And so the Questions and Answers was 2007 it came out. And most of the stuff on Cleaning Out the Closet was written at the same time. And I kind of weeded things out. But yeah, I think Questions is my favorite. It's a very personal record too. So the record was kind of based around becoming a father, becoming a husband, becoming a family person, and all these new things in life, and I really expressed it in the music there. And it was also musically, I reached a lot of places I've never been before. So I feel like that's my model of like the more current material I've been working on kind of stems from that era.
Cool.
Cool.
I don't know. I like all the records. I love hearing people, what their favorite record is. I mean, I like them all, and they all hold something special,
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all different. I felt like the most recent album was a lot different than some of the other stuff that I heard.
Which one was that?
The most recent one was
Ambivalence.
Ambivalence.
Yeah.
That was a cool album too. I liked it, but it felt different than some of the earlier stuff to me. It had like a different kind of feel to it, I felt like, than some of the earlier stuff.
I did a solo record in 2013, and Ambivalence is kind of partly picking up where that came from,
Mm-hmm.
and it's picking up parts of Questions and Answers. A couple of those songs on Ambivalence were really old. Party's Over was written in 2001.
Oh, wow.
I kind of held on to that one for a long time. But yeah, Ambivalence wasn't really until we didn't go in the studio like we're making an album. We recorded some songs and we went back and we put down more. And I don't know, came out like it did.
I love the artwork, by the way. Who does your artwork? Because it's
That's
really cool.
a local guy. His name's Eric Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And he's played in bands since the 90s around here. He actually does art for a local brewery for all their
Your
beer
logo
cans.
also?
What's that?
Did he do the Prozacs logo as well, or no?
The logo on Ambivalence.
The little, the that's on the shirt.
Oh, the pill.
Yeah.
Oh god. No, that that came from a piece of clip art.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Hey, it works. It works, right? It works. That's all that matters.
Got that tattooed on them. That came from clip art. I did an interview last year, and they asked that question, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. That's where it came from. It was and it was back in 2001. We wanted something with a smiley face. I was gonna do it was almost like the Nirvana smiley face at first.
Mm-hmm.
The Prozacs. Right. And then my guy who did my artwork and stuff back then in T-shirts, he had like a giant book of clip art, and we found a whole bunch of stuff with pills. So I wound up adopting that from a piece of clip art.
It's cool, yet it's a really cool logo. Like it's a really cool logo. Like whoever made the clip art, they're gonna see your shirt one day. Someone's gonna be in like the grocery store with a Prozac shirt and be like,
yeah. Well, luckily that was
Microsoft Word.
Yeah, see, it feels a little dirty sometimes, but I mean, at the same time, I've been using that for almost 20 years. You know what I mean? So it's.
They haven't said anything yet. You're good to go.
Yeah, really.
I had someone maybe last year. They were at a carnival, like at the beach or something, and that was painted on a carnival ride. So
no way.
He sends it to me like, you'll never guess. And the original had 3 different pills. They were all together. And like our first T-shirt has all 3 pills together. And I wound up taking that 1 pill from it.
So what in the shit carnival has pills painted on the side of the ride?
must be a good one.
What? Like, what kind of carnival? What's that?
It's a carnival where you go in, you start seeing things, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, right.
All right, I got an introspective question for you. Now, if there was a movie made about the story of the Prozacs, who would direct? Who would star as the band members? And would it be a comedy, a drama, an action movie or a thriller.
It would be a fucking horror.
There it is. All right, that's good.
And I would say ex band members would star as the other members. It would probably be longer than the Lord of the Rings. I would think.
Directed Scorsese.
We'll have Joe Queer direct it. He has experience with this stuff.
All right. It's not a bad choice ever. He's never a bad choice.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy having so many people. I know you asked earlier about that, and I don't know how much of it's just me. Why I go through so many people, but to be honest, I think a lot of it has to do with just the push that I have. Maybe I have high expectations. A lot of times guys come in and they don't really understand where I'm coming from and where the band's, maybe they know that they've played in local bands and they don't understand the world we're in. And I'm always pushing and striving for it, and for the most part, most of the people that have left is just because they weren't able to keep up with, or I don't know what it is. I've had a couple
different expectations.
And we get busy, and then sometimes some guys realize that they don't have the time for it, or it's hard to be in a band. Sometimes we have interchangeable members. You get guys that sometimes you're playing with somebody who's, they're not able to do a lot of things, and that's okay. And I basically go by the motto: if I'm able to do it, then I find a way for the Prozacs to do it. Whatever it means. And it's not always like you want to replace somebody, because I've done that. Sometimes I was like, well, this isn't working out. This particular person doesn't have the time or the drive or the attitude for it. And as the years came over, I probably hardened up, because I put so much into it, and I've had a great cast of people who've played, and many of them have come back, and the longest members I've had was our original bass player, who was on the first 7 releases, Colin, and then Maddie Prozac, who came in on drums in 2005. Maddie's had more to do with the band than anybody else. And then Jimmy Craig came in on drums in 2008. And both Maddie and Jimmy have kind of worked the plate since 2008. They've both been involved. So it's kind of been like a team kind of carrying the band, But I guess my attitude is I know what I want, and I'm going for it, and whether people are along for the ride or not, I find a way to make it happy. And my wife Andrea has been a huge, she's been more involved than anybody, and having her support and having your family support, with what most people in the outside world call as a hobby. We're not making money. We're not making a living off this stuff. So it costs more money to do it than it does what you make.
Ain't that the truth?
And that's not what it's about to begin with anyways. A lot of people don't understand that. It's, I've had some band members like, oh, we're not making money and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's not what
it's about.
And Jimmy, who's currently drumming, and Jimmy drummed on Ambivalence. He's like my soulmate as far as music comes. He's one of my best friends, and he doesn't have a presence in the social media, and he kind of, so a lot of people don't know him. But if you meet him, he's one of those dudes that he likes to stay to himself, but like once you talk to him, he'll bleed out, and he cares about everything that matters. He cares about the fans. He cares about people hearing the music. He cares about the lyrics and the songs and every chord that goes into it. So, those things are super important to me. And so having somebody that's involved, whether, can't always be there and everything else, but, Paul Basile, being a younger kid, we had a little bit of a Jimmy Paul and I as a band. And Paul's probably one of the only members that I've had besides Jimmy that carries those kind of values. So I love playing with Paul. I love hanging out with Paul. He's a genuine person.
He's an
And
He's cool, man.
he'll go out on a limb for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in his blood, it's in his heart. And I've played with a lot of dudes that they're like, they don't understand the world of music I'm in. And it's cool to have different influences and, to have people coming from different things. But I think that it's important to have some common ground as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, I've had times where I've had guys I played with, they don't get it and they don't care. And it's,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to be an asshole because everyone's got their own thing. But, when you're out in the world playing with particular types of bands and types of shows, it's good when the more people that are with you that get it. I've had guys where we have a show and I don't want them to talk to anybody because I'm afraid of what they're going to say or who they're going to. I have people that tell me
it's like Dan. It's like Dan.
Yeah, yeah. Don't give me a mic.
We never give him a mic for that reason.
Really, I got to give mad props to Matty Prozac and Jimmy Craig and Paul and Nick Cross, who played with us in the last few years. Those guys held together the later years of the band, and there's a bunch of great dudes. And currently, I've got Jed and Kyle on guitar and bass. And those guys, I love those guys. The current lineup kind of brings me back to like 2001, 2002, as if these guys were in the band and we grew up. I kind of envision the band I have now being, the grown-up version of 16, 17 years ago. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I think, are we on the last round of questions, guys?
Yep.
All right, I seriously just thought of this question on the spot. But, so, will there ever be a show with just a group, like a super Prozac show with every member of the Prozacs, or at least close to it? So from the very beginning stage to now, there was a giant, like you had like 4 bass players, 5, you have 5 guitar, like 2, 3, or 4 drummers.
I would be all for it. I really would. Something that a lot of people probably don't know is the original lineup. Our original second guitarist, Kevin, and our bass player, Dave, who he wound up playing guitar by the time we did the first album and sang. They both passed away. We lost half of the original lineup. So that's kind of and I'm the only one that was there for all the whole thing, so most of the people that played didn't even know these guys or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of a sad thought. And going back to that Questions and Answers album, there's a song called Story of a Fallen Friend, and I wrote that about Dave. He was on Thanks for Nothing in the first lineup.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as we've actually had times where we've had ex-members at shows, and we've had maybe 7 or 8 different members, past and present, play at a particular show.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I'm all for it. There's only a couple people I've played with that I have no interest in playing with again.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like I said, most of the people, sometimes a fight would happen and someone would leave, but you get over it because you realize it was, for whatever reason, it had nothing to do personally or whatever. Maybe sometimes someone gets frustrated because they can't do it, and it leads to, and you realize I can't be there for it. That's why I'm not there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, you guys want to arrange it? Start looking up members?
Yeah, I'll start right now.
We'll caption this video. You heard it first.
Oh yeah, calling all Prozacs.
My last question is, do you have any dream goals that you're working on for the future, and what is the Prozacs working towards in the future, just in general?
I think the band as a whole is kind of just, the lineup is kind of new right now. unfortunately, we did a handful of shows, and COVID happened. And but goal-wise, I don't know. I mean, I have an album in the studio that's going to be a solo record. It basically follows up Ambivalence. All my projects kind of intertwine with each other. But Jimmy, who's the one I spend the most time with, he drummed on the solo material that's coming out. We have a Prozac album on deck that we're writing. And I'd like to do another album with the other project, Steletto Bomb, which is Jimmy on drums, myself, my wife Andrea sings. So we both sing.
That's awesome.
And, so that's another project we kind of have on deck. But yeah, as far otherwise, just keep on playing. I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, we've had times where it seemed like we were a pretty cool band. People liked us and booked us. There's been times where the scene changes and no one gave a shit. And I've come accustomed to it. I try not to get, I get bummed out. I get bummed and happy and sad and angry. But overall, it's the way it is, Yeah. The one thing that did happen during the whole COVID, and everything in the last few months, I sold a lot of merchandise.
That's great.
And that was really cool. The cool thing I was selling shit dirt cheap. I was moving out back catalog. A lot of people bought the new album, and that warms my heart. And so maybe that'll build up to something. When we do a new record or whatever.
Yeah.
And whether it's one person buying it, whether it's 100, 300, whatever. It's every bit of it. I mean, thank you guys. I mean, this is awesome that
Of course.
you want to
Thank you.
listen.
Of course.
Our pleasure, man.
Yeah, man.
I was honored that you asked me to sing to do a little
On
video
fire.
part.
Yeah, on
I
fire.
can't wait to see that.
It should be done pretty soon. We're hoping our friend that is that's editing the video, he just moved. He had to make a big move because of COVID. So he's like, I was like, dude, just take your time. Like moving is a bitch in New York. It's the worst in New York City. And he lived in Manhattan. So it was like, it's just crazy. So he is working on it, but he's trying to get a couple more people on the video too. And it will be, I promise you, it will be finished. You will get to see it and do whatever you want with it. So
I know how it goes. Jimmy and I went in the studio in June of last year with 7 songs, and they're not finished yet. And it's so frustrating.
Yeah, we just started ours too. Yeah, we just started recording our second album, so it's
I saw the pictures of the studio. That place looks awesome.
Yeah.
it was pretty cool.
it's really nice.
So,
Where is that?
Pauling. It's in Pauling, New York.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, it's a friend of mine actually. He runs it's called Raw Recording Studios. It's a really cool place. He built it himself, and it's like, it's gorgeous. I mean, like the inside is so comfortable and spacious. It's weird. It's almost like going into a different world when you open that door.
Yep.
So,
I love being in the studio. I mean, I've been in all different types, but I love being in a studio like that.
yeah.
You're here. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
The place was built for it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the whole experience is just.
Well,
Yeah, I walked in and I was like, I don't know if he realizes that we're like a pop punk band. I think this is too nice for us. I'm not gonna touch anything. Then he realized that we were clowns, and
one
he
of the
put
things
us
that
up for 4 hours. And he was really cool. But I was like, oh my god, I'm afraid. It's like so sick, like a museum. Like instruments I can never afford. Everything is shiny. I'm like, I don't want to touch anything.
Hey, you know what? One of the things though about like punk rock and everything is like I don't really care for the attitude, like the punk rock attitude, in the sense like, DIY gets mistaken for what it really is. I think DIY doesn't mean things have to be, spray painted on a shirt. Doesn't mean your recordings have to sound like they were recorded in a tin can. And like you know, your music is your art, and like, why not make it the best you possibly can?
Yeah.
And experience everything.
Absolutely agree.
DIY is at the heart. You know what I mean? I've gotten some flack in the past about like entire people learning about, like, say you buy a Prozacs record, you know, those new LPs. I pressed it. People helped out with it, Out Loud Records, which is great. But I stuffed every one of those records. I'm the one who called the plant. I'm the one who put the artwork together, got help where I needed it, you know, and spent hours and hours and hours in the studio and hours and hours and hours putting them together and packaging them and sending them out and all that. And, like, you know, I want them to look good. I always have, you know, but it's, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. You're never too good to step into some place. It's never too good for you, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish up my final question, and the one that right before we end the night is: you have a lot of pride in your work and your craft. With you playing so long, at the end of your career, when you're ready to hang up the instruments and whatever, what do you want the Prozacs to be remembered for? What do you want your legacy to be when somebody looks back at the Prozacs and sees, like, wow, this is the effect that it had? But what effect do you want to have?
Really, you know, maybe out of those umpteen albums and songs, that there's 2 minutes in there that was there for somebody that needed it. You know, when you get a message from somebody that you know, a song helped them get through something, or, you know, this means something, or a memorable, you know, yeah, those are beyond my own. Just every little song is like a little baby. Mm-hmm. Yeah, have something that was memorable and something that connected with somebody in whatever way. You know, this 2 minutes changed my life, or changed my day, or put a smile on my face for the afternoon. You know,
that's I respect that.
Feeling the art. That's what it's about. You know, I'd rather give somebody my entire catalog of music, you know, for free, if it means something, you know, then sell 100,000 records to people that don't really give a shit about it, other than background music, you know.
Yeah.
Boy,
that's very good.
Cool. Awesome.
Cool. So, is there anything else before we start you wanted to plug coming up?
Yeah, please.
Look out for this Lousekast video.
Yeah.
Hey, that's our job. Wait.
We're all in this together. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it from the heart. And I don't know. We're gonna try getting out there like everybody else is. You know, there will be new music coming, and hopefully some live performances in some way or another. And hopefully we'll get out there and get to see friends we haven't met yet.
Sounds good, man.
Can't tell what's going to happen.
And hopefully we get that show finally comes together with you guys and us.
Yeah, definitely.
We will get something for sure.
Absolutely.
But thank you guys so much. This was
Yeah.
Thanks, Jay. You're the best, man. Thank you very much, everybody. Woo!
Prozac, you're
the
awesome.
best,
Thanks
bud.
so much
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right.
Good night.
Woo! Jason, yeah. What an awesome dude.
Awesome.
He's freaking dope.
Dope dude. Dope
yeah,
dude.
Man.
Good
so
man.
We want to thank Jay from the Prozacs for joining us tonight. That was awesome and inspiring to hear somebody who's been around for such a long time in the punk scene, still going strong with some great stories. Keep an eye out for his upcoming projects. And he'll also be making a cameo in our On Fire video.
Yeah.
And are we Lousies out?
And also listen to his albums and his like 20 albums he has. How many albums do they have? They have like a shit ton of albums.
He got a lot. Solo stuff. Yeah, check out his solo stuff.
Yeah, and buy it all.
Buy it all.
Buy it all. All right. There we go.
All right.
Lousies out.
Next time. Till next time, clowns.